Well, it's time to take a look at the movies and other entertainment things as we go out to the west coast of the United States to Michael Snyder and his Culture Blast review. Hello, Michael.
Well, hello, Alex, and hello, America, and all the ships at sea, and many continents out there, some quivering in fear over our election. But Thanksgiving is this coming week, and I give thanks for this platform and for the wonderful films I get to see, and you. And I should probably point out that I am especially thankful when I have a weekend where I pretty much think all the movies are worth checking out or have quality about them. So that's this week. So we get rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is a little overlong. It's certainly a clunky title, but I had great fun watching this prequel to the sprawling Harry Potter Kid Sorcery series by the author J.K. Rowling, which spawned a bunch of movies that were massive successes. And this is probably the first of a cycle of magical blockbusters about good and bad witches and wizards who are secretly at war in New York City against a vile, threat. In any event, this is set 70 years ago or so, and it kind of allows us to get into the story through a former student at Hogwarts who was booted out and who shows up in New York City with a satchel full of crazy creatures that eventually, of course, get loose and wreak havoc and embroil him in the American equivalent of the Harry Potter Secret Society of Magicians and such. And to that end, he meets a former magic cop played by Catherine Waterston, who's kind of been demoted. And the two of them are kind of on the run from that esteemed policing unit. I remember those sort of congresses of witches and warlocks in Harry Potter. We have the equivalent in this movie, only it's a multicultural American side of the story. Colin Farrell is in the film, and he plays one of the high muckety-muck wizards. We get Samantha Morton as a human woman who has decided, as a sort of an anti-suffragette movement, to turn against these witches and warlocks. She believes that these sorcerers exist and that they are going to bring humanity down. And so she's very, very active in kind of an underground movement. She's trying to rally the forces. And Eddie Redmayne plays Newt Scamander, who is a writer and, again, kicked out of Hogwarts for some sort of mischief. And he's our kind of way in. But the people you care about in this movie are a normal guy, a human guy who's embroiled in the tale. And he is played by an actor we don't see enough of, but who's quite good, Dan Fogler. He's a pudgy wannabe baker who stumbles upon these weird creatures out of Newt's satchel. And we also meet Catherine Waterston's roommate, kind of sister sorceress, played by the pop singer Alison Sudol. And the relationship between the Sudol character, Queenie, and the character played by Fogler, Jacob, is the nicest thing about the film. It's the sweetest, warmest aspect of it. But again, solid cast. John Voight plays a kind of a publishing magnate who is controlling his son, who is a senator who wants re-election. There's a little political component. And, lots of solid actors in small roles. The actress Gemma Chan from Humans, the British series about androids and AI, she's in this thing for a blink. We'll see more of these folks, I think, if there's a second film in the series, and I think there will be. I had a lot of fun at Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. A little long, but man, the visuals and the tricks developed by director David Yates are very effective. And this is the first time, I think, that J.K. Rowling has written the script herself. So there are a few missteps there, maybe in terms of pacing, but I did really enjoy the film. Moving on, The Edge of 17 is a bittersweet coming-of-age movie that mixes comedy and drama, and it basically focuses on a high school junior played by Haley Steinfeld, who got Oscar acknowledgement for her first role as a kid actor in the remake of True Grit, and has made nothing anywhere near as interesting since this until this film. She has to deal with her older brother dating her best friend. So this sort of tears the family apart, tears the friendship apart, and gets a look into contemporary high school life that really made me think of John Hughes's films, particularly, I'd have to say, 16 Candles. But I love this film. It's a first-time director and fledgling screenwriter, Kelly Freeman Craig, and she has surprising assurance and brings a sharp tang to this, even when it seems like it might be treading familiar ground. I mean, I don't think anyone in 16 Candles threatens suicide to a teacher. Anyway, Steinfeld does the heavy lifting as Nadine, the central figure in the movie. Her brother is played by Blake Jenner, her best friend played by Haley Lou Richardson, and we have to point out the wonderful performance by Woody Harrelson, who's at his most wry and pointed and likable as Nadine's teacher and confessor. How good is Haley Steinfeld in this film? Very, very good. She does all the heavy lifting. She's on screen throughout. She provides frank, funny, and kind of poignant diary-like narration in Nadine's inner voice, and you just can't help but really love her. I think The Edge of 17 is the date movie of the weekend, and also something I wouldn't mind watching again. Bleed for This is a boxing movie. Heavens to Rocky. It's the true story of a lean, working-class New England boxer who has to beat unbelievable odds to reach and compete in championship bouts in 2 different weight classes. It's a true story. It was in the news. We saw it on our televisions back in the day, 80s and 90s for the most part. And it's all about the Providence, Rhode Island boxer. His name is it's kind of a complex name here, Vinny Pazienza, I think, but people called him Vinny Paz. And he was known as the Pasmanian Devil to his fans. And Miles Teller plays the guy, and he is buff and believable. So how brutal are the hurdles this guy faced? How about coming back from a broken neck to compete in the ring? We've seen round after round of boxing movies, over the years, including recent stuff like the fictional Jake Gyllenhaal film Southpaw, not to mention all the boxing sequences on Showtime's Ray Donovan series, the aforementioned Rocky. But this is its own creature, and it's pretty astonishing. And if you like Teller in Whiplash, this is a performance that basically stands with that as powerful and successful. Aaron Eckhart, fantastic in a supporting role as Kevin Rooney, Vinny's trainer. Katie Seagal, old and haggard as his mother. Kieran Hines, the Irish actor, plays his dad. You'd never guess he's from the old sod, if you will. And the promoter, Lou Duva, is played by Ted Levine. Everyone is really on point. I thought that Bleed for This, as boxing movies go, was very, very good. Nocturnal Animals is a thriller about an art gallery owner who is haunted by her husband, her former husband's novel, which he sends her, and it's a kind of a violent tale that she interprets as a threat and some sort of symbolic revenge. Reading this will give her the pain that he endured as their marriage broke up. There's an all-star cast in this thing, including Amy Adams, the aforementioned Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon, Isla Fisher, and in basically tiny roles, they're hardly there, Michael Sheen, Laura Linney, and Armie Hammer. It's written and directed by the former fashion designer Tom Ford. It's his second film after what I feel is kind of a superior movie, A Single Man, which gained Oscar nominations for Best Film and for Colin Firth, the lead actor nom. And like A Single Man, Nocturnal Animals is an adaptation by Ford from a book. But it's a story within a story that might have worked a little better in print than on screen. Haven't read the book, can't really say. But it sort of trundles along in an account of this well-to-do, self-obsessed woman coping with her empty, lonely life. And then she gets the book, and it abruptly shifts to a visualization of this noirish potboiler narrative of a family of 3 menaced on a lonesome road by a vicious contingent of small-town thugs. As expected after the sheen of A Single Man, this movie looks good. I mean, the fashion designer eye is in full effect, but the switching narrative comes off as a trick, and it didn't really generate any deep emotional connection for me, even with some powerfully unnerving moments in the hinterlands with the imperiled fictional family. This was problematic, and I was left cold by the end of Nocturnal Animals. On the other hand, someone actually addressed the uncanny resemblance between Amy Adams and Isla Fisher, by casting them as the lead in the movie and her in-film fictional persona. That was kind of cool. And now we need the same thing to happen for Dylan McDermott, Dermot Mulroney, and Patrick Dempsey, and then I'll be happy. Not a bad film, but not anywhere near, for me, what A Single Man was. Let's wrap things up with Manchester by the Sea, a movie I think will be a major contender during award season and one of the best films I've seen this year. It's a new drama from the writer-director Kenneth Lonergan, the guy who did You Can Count on Me and Margaret. He already got a bunch of praise for those films, and Manchester by the Sea reaffirms his commitment to quality movie making. It's a memorable character study that sticks with you long after the credits have rolled. It's a contemporary interpersonal drama set in New England, and it basically is the story of an ordinary, well-meaning man with ordinary passions and weaknesses who's transformed by tragedy. But we see what his life does to other people and how other people affect him and the way his actions impact all the people in his life. Casey Affleck plays this guy, Lee Chandler, who's a janitor leading kind of a mundane, solitary, under-the-radar life in Boston, but he gets word of his brother's death and has to return to the fishing village where both men were born and raised. And in short order, we find out that he's been named guardian of his teenage nephew, and it's a responsibility he does not want to undertake. He used to be a husband and father in this small town, and that life was undone by an unthinkable accident. So we see him dealing with all of that. We see the relationships in flashback between him and his wife, Randy, and his brother, Joe, and that's kind of heartbreaking. And Kyle Chandler, rock solid in the role of Joe. Lucas Hedges, totally natural and totally likable as 16-year-old Patrick, the kid, the boy left behind by the brother. Smart kid with a bright future, burdened by the loss. And finally, I got to say, one of the most powerful and tender performances in her career to date, Michelle Williams is unbelievably great as Randy, a woman who has a great love for Lee still, even if it's tainted by what happened in their past. She's not on screen for a lot, but man, this is as praiseworthy as a supporting actress turn could be. Michelle Williams was pretty wonderful. Great bleak maritime setting. I mean, not a vacation, this movie. Lonergan is not trying to give you escapism, nor is the cast, but it is such a moving examination of flawed people in stressful situations. I thought Manchester by the Sea was a must-see. And that's it for film.
Okay. Well, that's a bit it for me, too. I have nothing new or unusual or interesting, so I guess...
Whoa. Nothing, what, television. You got to be watching something. What are you watching this week?
Nothing in particular. Same stuff I have been watching.
Anybody caught up to Humans or the new season of The Missing yet? There are those things that are out there.
Missing isn't out here yet.
Ah, okay. Well, anyway.
And neither is Humans, so there's no reason to talk about them.
Oh, well, okay. We'll leave it at that then. That's about it. I hope people have a lovely Thanksgiving break.
Okay.
And I guess we'll be back when we're, I guess a week from now or whenever we do this. I don't know. Are we doing Thanksgiving?
Probably not. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Okay.
All right. We'll figure it out this week. In the meantime, you can check me out on Twitter at Culture Blaster and on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much, Michael. And there's more GABNet coming right up.